Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to our public meeting regarding the identification of a potential administrator for Sierra Vista Association. The Water Board values and appreciates your attention and patience during this time when the State Water Board continues its work through remote communications. My name is Vanessa and I'm a part of the State Water Board's Office of Public Participation. I'll be the moderator for today's public meeting. Before we get started, and in order to meet the language needs of this community, we are offering this meeting in English with Spanish language interpretation. If you are joining the meeting and would like to listen to the discussion in Spanish and ask questions during the Q&A session at the end, please go to the interpretation icon at the bottom of the Zoom control panel. You will see the language controls where you can select Spanish. And the interpretation button looks like a little globe and says interpretation. If you click that, a drop-down menu will pop up and you can choose your language channel if you would like to listen in Spanish. The number for the Spanish conference line, if you are only able to join via phone, is 916-227-1132. And I would like to now invite Marina, who is supporting our interpretation channel or our Spanish channel this evening, to repeat this call-in information in Spanish. Marina?
Thanks, Vanessa. Buenas noches. La reunión de esta noche se está realizando en inglés con servicio de interpretación en español. Si desea ver y escuchar la presentación y participar de la sesión de preguntas y respuestas en español por este medio, seleccione el icono de interpretación que aparece en la parte inferior de la pantalla de Zoom. El icono parece un pequeño globo terráqueo. De allí seleccione la opción para español. Para solo escuchar la presentación en español y participar de la sesión de preguntas y respuestas por teléfono, también en español, llame el número telefónico 916-227-1132.
Thank you, Marina. So before we begin, I would like to acknowledge our many partners that have helped bring us here today. In particular, Sierra Vista Association residents have been integral to both continuing service and working with us to facilitate a solution. Additionally, California Rural Water Association, CRWA, the Division of Financial Assistance and Self-Help Enterprises, have partnered with us so that we can all be here today working towards a sustainable solution for your community. Additional thanks to those I have not mentioned, but have also helped us through this process. Thank you also to those of you who have taken the time to share your interests and concerns. We value your input as we work through this process. There will be opportunities to comment and ask questions both during this meeting, as well as to submit comments after this meeting. And we look forward to working with you and hearing your interests and concerns as we continue to work through this process. So let's get started. I'd like to start by highlighting the mission of the water boards. The State Water Board's mission is to preserve, enhance, and restore the quality of California's water resources and drinking water for the protection of the environment, public health, and all beneficial use, and to ensure proper water resource allocation and efficient use for the benefit of present and future generations. We work to achieve our mission through an array of programs established within our major divisions and regions. This mission is for the benefit of now and future generations. I also want to take this time to recognize that in the midst of a pandemic and the political unrest we experienced just a few weeks ago, our state and tribal entities, along with communities throughout the state, continue to move toward healing and working together. So thank you. Now I'd like to move on to some meeting logistics before we get to the meat of the presentation. This meeting is being held virtually through Zoom, and this State Water Board presentation is being recorded. As a note, we will end the recording before moving on to the public comment period. This is because we welcome and encourage your open and honest communication. Remember, this meeting is also an opportunity for you to provide feedback and ask questions on this process. So there are various ways to provide your public comment today, and we'll talk a little bit about that over the course of the next couple slides. So again, this meeting is being held in English and Spanish. If you're using Zoom, you can select your language by clicking the interpretation button. Again, it looks like a globe. And this would be only if you would like to listen to this presentation and participate in this meeting in Spanish. You can also call 916-227-1132 for the Spanish conference line if you are joining us by phone. And just one more time, just for some attendees that joined us just a couple of minutes ago, we'd like to repeat this information in Spanish, and I will invite Marina to do so.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vanessa. El número de la conferencia telefónica en español es 916-227-1132.
Thank you, Marina. So to ensure the meeting is being interpreted completely, there may be short pauses between the transition of slides today. If our presentation is too big for your screen, you can set your view to fit screen. Typically, a taskbar is found at the bottom of your Zoom window, but it can also be found as a drop-down menu at the top of your Zoom screen. Also, to improve streaming quality, some of our presenters today will not be sharing video. If at any time during today's presentation you're having technical issues, please feel free to email us at ddw-administrator@waterboards.ca.gov. You can also type it into the Q&A function found at the bottom of your screen if you are on the Zoom platform. So to comment on today's presentation, we'll be using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. You can also email comments or questions to us at ddw-administrator@waterboards.ca.gov. If you do email us, please include your first and last name, what your affiliation is, and if you are representing an organization or another individual, the last 3 digits of your phone number, if you are calling in on Zoom, and whether you would like to read your comment or if you'd like to have us read it for you. Finally, if you are emailing us, please write Sierra Vista public comment in the subject line. So I know that was a lot of instructions on how to participate and share your comments. So don't worry, we'll repeat those again once we begin the public comment period. So now on to some meeting guidelines. In the event that you are disconnected from the meeting, please rejoin using the Zoom link or the call-in number. This information can be found on the public notice that you should have received. Everyone joining us here today will have their microphones muted and cameras turned off until the public comment segment begins. And that public segment will begin after this presentation. To speak during our public comment, you'll want to raise your virtual hand. This will help us locate you in the attendee list. If you are called upon, you will be asked to unmute yourself to speak. And we may have some folks joining us by phone and on the Spanish conference line. So if you are calling in today via the Zoom conference number, you can raise your virtual hand by pressing *9 on your telephone keypad. And that's again *9 to raise your hand. If you're called upon, you can press *6. And again, we'll repeat this at the end of the presentation, just before the public comment period starts. But for now, if we can have folks practice raising your hand. So let's all raise our virtual hands. So all of the attendees, oh, I see Joe's raising his hand. Thank you, Joe. Awesome. Okay, thank you. You're all Zoom pros now. So you'll want to remember to do that during our public comment period. That is, again, after this presentation. All right, so let's move on to our meeting agenda for the night. We'll start off with some background information on the Sierra Vista Association, followed by an overview of the administrator process. We'll then introduce the potential administrator for Sierra Vista and share some information on their qualifications and scope of work. We'll then go over community involvement and how your involvement is critical to this process and next steps. Finally, we'll take public comments and questions. And as a reminder, State Water Board staff are here to listen to your comments and your questions. This is your opportunity to provide feedback on any part of this. So your input is extremely important because it'll help the administrator make decisions based on what is most beneficial to your community. So now on to the meat of our presentation. I'd like to pass it on to Brian Potter to start with the background of the Sierra Vista Association. Brian, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Brian Potter. I'm the Tulare District Engineer and am responsible for the regulatory oversight of the Sierra Vista Association water system. I'm going to give everybody some background information on the water system, information on their non-compliance with the nitrate and 123 TCP maximum contaminant levels or water quality standards, and help provide the background and understanding as to why they are in need of an administrator. So the Sierra Vista Association, water system serves a population of approximately 44 people through 13 service connections. Their water system, or the water system, is severely disadvantaged. It is a community water system located in southern Tulare County. Sierra Vista was issued a compliance order for the violation of the nitrate maximum contaminant level in 2015, and was also issued a compliance order for the violation of 123 TCP in 2018. Sierra Vista also recently experienced a water outage due to a well failure. However, fortunately, that well was able to be repaired and put back into service, providing water to the water system. The water system only has one well and no storage capacity, so that one well is the lifeblood of the water system. That failure that recently happened is indicative of the age of the water system and the age of the infrastructure in the water system. The community does receive bottled water through the Tulare County's bottled water program. I'm going to go over a couple concerns the state board has with the water system in these three categories, and how what the point of this meeting will be. We'll talk about how the administrator can help address these issues. So the three primary issues that Sierra Vista is facing is water quality, infrastructure needs, and the managerial limitations. Sierra Vista failed to comply with the primary drinking water standards for nitrate and 123 TCP due to not having adequate office staff or board members. The operations and maintenance of the water system is at risk, and infrastructure improvements for the system are necessary for the long-term sustainable operation. Next slide, please. Thank you. Like I said before, Sierra Vista is out of compliance with the nitrate maximum contaminant level. The maximum contaminant level for nitrate in California is 10 milligrams per liter. As you can see in the graph, the results from the well are on the dotted, plotted line, and the maximum contaminant level is indicated by the red line. All the recent results and a long history of results are above the maximum contaminant level. The risks associated with exposure to nitrate levels are infants below the age of 6 months who drink the water containing nitrate that exceeds the MCL may quickly become seriously ill, and if untreated may die because of the high nitrate levels. The nitrate interferes with the body's capacity or the infant's capacity to carry blood, to carry oxygen in the blood. Symptoms include shortness of breath, blueness of skin. High levels may also affect the oxygen carrying ability of blood in pregnant women. Next slide, please. Sierra Vista Association is out of compliance also with the 123 trichloropropane or 123 TCP. The maximum contaminant level for 123 TCP is 0.005 micrograms per liter or 5 parts per trillion. Sierra Vista's water source is consistently above the public health standard or MCL for 123 TCP. The public health standard or MCL is shown with the red line at 5 parts per trillion on the graph, and the results from the well for the Sierra Vista Water Association is shown on the blue line or the dotted plotted line. The main health risks associated with long-term exposure to high 123 TCP levels in drinking water are an increased risk of getting cancer. Typical sources of contamination are man-made chemicals found in industrial or hazardous waste sites, and it has been used in cleaning and degreasing solvent, and has also been associated with pesticide products. In terms of infrastructure, Sierra Vista has no storage capacity. The lack of adequate storage capacity can result in water outages while the well is offline and can occur during routine maintenance or emergencies. That was the experience the community recently had when the well had a failure and needed emergency repairs. In addition, the water system's distribution system lacks isolation valves. The lack of valves can result in water outages when there's a water line break or a main break that requires the system to be shut down to make a repair. In addition, Sierra Vista also lacks individual water meters and individual shutoff valves for the service connections. Having those meters would allow us to monitor usage, as well as those valves would allow us to shut off service to a home if that home also experienced a main break that needed emergency repair. As I stated before, the infrastructure is aging. The well was drilled in 1984 and is nearing its end of life. It is commonly assumed that groundwater wells have a useful life for about 50 years. Managerial limitations. Sierra Vista lacks the administrative staff needed to effectively manage and operate the water system. Sierra Vista does not have a properly formed board to make decisions on behalf of the water system. There is a lack of financial capacity to implement the solutions needed to provide long-term, reliable supply of safe drinking water. Sierra Vista does not have the necessary funds available to complete the capital improvement projects to comply with the nitrate and 123 TCP maximum contaminant levels and is in need of financial assistance. To summarize, Sierra Vista has been struggling with being able to provide an adequate supply of safe drinking water. As I mentioned just previously, the three main challenges are complying with the nitrate and 123 TCP MCLs, the lack of storage and the aging infrastructure, and then the lack of administrative and managerial staff to run the water system. It is for these reasons that the state board is recommending the appointment of an administrator that can help Sierra Vista address these challenges. Excuse me. Now to provide an overview of the administrator, I'd like to hand the mic to Caitlin Juarez. Caitlin?
Thanks, Brian. My name is Caitlin Juarez, and I am in the Southern Engagement Unit of the Division of Drinking Water. I'm going to give an overview of the administrators and go over the process required by the state to appoint an administrator. As mentioned earlier, the Safe and Affordable Drinking Water Fund was established by Senate Bill 200 last year to provide up to $130 million a year that enables the State Water Board to help small water systems with drinking water violations develop and implement solutions, including the appointment of administrators. Senate Bill 552 gives the State Board the authority to appoint an administrator to a designated public water system that has consistently failed to provide an adequate supply of safe and affordable drinking water. The role of the appointed administrator is to provide administrative, technical, operational, legal, and managerial services to a water system. There are two types of administrators: limited scope and full scope. A limited scope administrator would be appointed to provide a combination of services, while a full scope administrator would be appointed to take complete managerial control over a designated water system. A complete description of the administrator authority and requirements can be found in the Administrator Policy Handbook on the Water Board's website that is shared in the slide showing. What is a full scope administrator? A full scope administrator is a person or entity who is appointed and authorized to exercise managerial control over a designated water system. The administrator shall have all of the necessary licenses and certifications for the scope of appointment. For example, if the scope of the appointment includes the operation of a water system, the administrator must have certified operators or the ability to subcontract certified operators. The administrator shall also have sufficient experience in the tasks that will be required of them. For example, if the administrator is required to develop a capital improvement plan or a 5-year budget, the administrator must have experience in doing so. It should also be noted that the administrator will be subject to a background check. The State Water Board views administrators as a flexible tool that can be tailored to the needs of a water system. All actions taken by an administrator are required to be in the best interest of the community by the water system and must be intended to develop the water system's ability to deliver an adequate supply of affordable, safe drinking water so that the services of the administrator are no longer necessary. The administrator appointment process was first initiated with a letter from the State Water Board. The State Water Board issued a designation letter to Sierra Vista on August 27, 2020. Next, a public notice is sent to effective ratepayers, renters, and property owners at least 30 days prior to a public meeting in order to give the public an opportunity to provide feedback. The notice regarding this public meeting was distributed on December 30th of 2020, and the 30-day public comment period started on December 30th, 2020. The State Water Board then conducts the public meeting, which we are all here for today. Following the public meeting, there are an additional 7 days for the public comment period, where all stakeholders can submit their feedback via email, mail, or phone. The public comment period for Sierra Vista will be concluded on February 11th, 2021. Once all initial steps in the process are complete, the State Water Board can move forward to legally appointing an administrator to Sierra Vista. As you can see, the process does take a bit of time, and the appointment of an administrator is not immediate. Sierra Vista will potentially be one of the first water systems in California to be appointed an administrator. Public meetings were also intended to be in person, but because of the pandemic, the remote participation adds on another level of complexity. Once an administrator is appointed, ratepayers, renters, and property owners who receive water from Sierra Vista may challenge the selection of the administrator and administrator decisions. A petition seeking substitution of an administrator may be submitted at any time to the State Water Board. A petition seeking modification or revision of a decision made by the administrator must be received by the State Board within 30 days of the administrator's decision. Now I would like to hand the mic to Karen Nishimoto. Karen?
Thank you, Caitlin. My name is Karen Nishimoto, and I am the senior with the Southern Engagement Unit with the Division of Drinking Water. I'm going to speak about the potential administrator for Sierra Vista, the administrator's qualifications, the scope of work, and any conflicts of interest. California Rural Water Association has been identified as a potential administrator for Sierra Vista. California Rural Water Association has extensive experience working throughout California with both drinking water and wastewater systems. In 2012, California Rural Water Association established a section which provides contract services for operation and management of water systems. Their operations staff has a combined 150 years of experience in both managing and operating water systems. California Rural Water Association has experience providing both full and part-time operations and management services, and they are currently providing these services to 2 cities and 6 community service areas or districts throughout California. These communities range in size from 500 to 15,000 people. To put this in perspective, Sierra Vista has a population of approximately 44. Also, California Rural Water Association has experienced planning solutions for water quality problems which may be applicable to Sierra Vista. California Rural Water Association has experience not only with creating plans for long-term improvements, but also has experience with the state's funding process. California Rural Water Association has successfully applied for state funding for water system specific projects and has been very proactive in assisting communities with emergency or compliance needs. Funding for infrastructure improvements is critical, particularly where a community is economically disadvantaged and may struggle with both the technical background and financial resources to implement a solution. Mr. Dan DeMoss is the Executive Director for California Rural Water Association and has extensive experience assisting water systems in need. He has been with California Rural Water Association since 2002 and has been the Executive Director of California Rural Water Association since 2006. Prior to that, Mr. Dan DeMoss has worked in various capacities, including with the City of Harrisburg, Oregon Association of Water Utilities, Miox Corporation, and DeMoss Contracting Services. He is also a certified water operator for treatment grade T2 and distribution grade D2. This exceeds the needs for Sierra Vista, which requires a distribution grade D1 operator and does not require a treatment operator. He was also certified in association management from the Institute of Association Management. This association is focused on optimizing administrative and management functions with clearly defined goals and success metrics. The expectation of an administrator for Sierra Vista would be to clearly communicate intentions to the community. Additionally, no conflicts of interest have been identified for California Rural Water Association as a potential administrator for Sierra Vista. The State Water Board intends to appoint a full scope administrator for Sierra Vista. This means that the administrator would be responsible for full administrative and managerial control of the water system. So, what are some of the tasks that an administrator will be required to do? The full scope administrator will be required to complete numerous tasks. However, many of these tasks may be unknown until the administrator has a full understanding of the water system. Some of the tasks that the administrator will need to address are shown on the screen. For example, one known task that the administrator will need to address is the open compliance orders for nitrate and 1,2,3-trichloropropane. The administrator will be tasked with investigating the current situation and working with the Tulare District Office to develop a path towards compliance. Due to the small number of service connections in Sierra Vista Association, additional funding resources may be needed in order to implement a compliance solution. Therefore, in order to secure additional funding, the administrator will also look into pursuing litigation for the 123 TCP contamination, as many small community water systems have been successful in receiving settlement funds to implement compliance solutions. The administrator will also look for co-funding opportunities, such as exploring CV salts funding for nitrate contamination, as well as applying for state funding. California Rural Water Association will be responsible for creating a community accountability and engagement plan within 90 days of appointment. The purpose of this plan is to ensure there are opportunities for meaningful community engagement throughout the duration of the administrator's appointment. The plan will include a description of the actions and activities the administrator will undertake to engage with the community, as well as a description of how the administrator will incorporate any input from the community in providing services to Sierra Vista. The plan will also include a description of communication that the administrator will utilize to engage with the community, as well as a timeline for implementation of the Community Accountability and Engagement Plan. This plan will identify routine public meetings, which will occur at least once every 3 months, and other methods to engage with the community. All quarterly public meetings will be preceded by notice at least 10 days prior to the public meeting and include the opportunity for the public to present comment during the meeting. Some of the items that will typically be included in the ongoing public meetings may include the performance of the system's overall financial health, any updates on major projects or plans, any updates on water rates, as well as any other significant matters. The public will also have access to water system records, such as the current operating budget, organizational chart, ownership information, financial information, contracting, and complaints. Next, we'll talk about the Post-Administrator Drinking Water Service Plan. An administrator is a short-term alternative. So one of the administrator's top priorities is to identify a pathway to put themselves out of this job. Within 12 months of commencing duties as an administrator, California Rural Water Association will need to submit to the State Board a draft Post-Administrator Drinking Water Service Plan. They will also be required to hold a public meeting before the submittal, and the State Board will be responsible for reviewing and approving the plan. The draft Post-Administrator Drinking Water Service Plan will evaluate the current situation, identify needed resources, and establish a plan to ensure the community has safe and affordable drinking water for the long term. Stakeholder and community input is valued here. So any ratepayer, renter, or property owner who receives water from Sierra Vista Association, once they receive services from an administrator, may submit a petition to the State Water Board for the reversal or modification of a decision of the administrator or substitution of the administrator. The petition must be received by the state board within 30 days of the decision in question. Additionally, a petition requesting substitution of an administrator may be submitted to the state board at any time. It should be noted, however, the filing of a petition does not stay or in any way void or limit the decision or action of the administrator being challenged in the petition. Any such petition should include the following information: contact information, including name and address of the petitioner, and identification of the reasons the petitioner is seeking substitution of the administrator or reversal or modification of the administrator's decision. Once received, the state board would review the petition. Finally, to recap, the purpose of appointing California Rural Water Association as an administrator to Sierra Vista Association is to ensure a safe, reliable supply of drinking water is provided to customers for the foreseeable future and ensure the system can be sustainable. California Rural Water Association would explore additional funding sources and evaluate other infrastructure improvements needed while ensuring community accountability. As mentioned previously, the public will be informed of all major steps and progress with a minimum of quarterly public meetings. And now for the public comment period, I will hand the mic back over to Vanessa. Vanessa?
Thanks, Karen. And thanks all to Brian, Caitlin, and Karen for all of this valuable information about the challenges that Sierra Vista faces and potential solutions we have to look forward to. So that wraps up our presentations for the night. And so now we're eager to hear from you, our participants. So this is your time to ask questions or provide input and comments on this process or about any of the information you just heard. You are experts on what is needed for your community, and the State Water Board staff are open to hearing any suggestions you have on making this process better. So I see we have a question or a number of questions coming through via the Q&A feature. So